for office. So,
Good morning, all. I'm sorry to say David wasn't able to make it today, so I'll be heading this up. I want you to be aware that we have very little likelihood of a quorum today from what I'm looking at. So until I have a better answer on this, we'll just say let's move forward with what we need to do. And I'd like to call on Major Matina to come up and lead us with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, the next item on the agenda is the check presentation from Act 2, the Community Honor Flight. John Gregg.
Thanks to the director, Kitty Gregg, musical director, Steve Warshaw, and choreographers, Natasha Bragnarik, and the talented performers of Act 2, and the generosity of our audience. I would like to present this check for $500, the proceeds of our show, Songs of War and Remembrance, to UCO for the Honor Flight program.
Thank you very much. Act 2. That was very thoughtful of you. Thank you. I'd like you to be looking at the minutes as you have opportunity until we know whether we have a quorum. But let's start with law enforcement's report. Gentlemen, if you're ready.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Captain Ponswelly here. We're joined today by our regional major, Major Ron Matino. That's my boss, so yeah. Appreciate him coming out and saying good morning. Hurricane season, June 1st, we're here. You know, we say the same thing over and over again. Sometimes when we repeat the message, it's sometimes better heard or cemented in. Like Lieutenant Hill has said on other occasions, start preparing now. I believe the state's having a tax holiday for hurricane supplies. Either that starts this week or the next week. Double check. It's this week? Okay, great. Yep. Today it starts. Okay. So that's more incentive to get out there and get your supplies. If you need you know, extra batteries, flashlights, cases of water, maybe start buying them now, and then just, you know, especially the ones that live up on the third floor, bring them up as you need them and start your supplies. Lieutenant Hill's going to go over the crime report. We had a pretty good month for May. Our crime stats were low. And we'll be here for a couple minutes after we give the presentation. Obviously, we'll take any questions from the audience. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. As we said, we had a good month. We did have a slight rash of residential burglaries in the Wellington area. I'd like to stress that, you know, all these we found no forced entry. A couple of them, in fact, one of them, the resident came in and found a female in his apartment that had been left unlocked. The other one, we had a female knocked on a door, you know, and tried to kind of con her way in. And the other two were unlocked apartments, one of them which was being watched by a neighbor for people that are out of the country and things of that nature. But please be very cautious, lock your doors. You know, these were all incidents that this young lady apparently took advantage of a little laxness on the part of the residents. We did develop probable cause, as she's been charged with burglary, so that case is going to wind its way through the court system from here. We had one theft reported, a bicycle taken from a stairwell when she was visiting a neighbor. And unfortunately, we had a case of fraud. The victim received the phone call, you know, your nephew has been arrested in Canada and needs, you know, $5,000 for bail money. You know, please go and send it in cash to this, you know, this address and that kind of thing. So please be very cautious of that. These people are very good at coming up with all kinds of ways to try and separate you from your money. So be suspicious, be careful. We had one person's crime reported. We had an assault. It was between two roommates, and they refused to prosecute, so that went nowhere. We had a total of 352 events and 36 written reports of various natures, most of them minor or non-crime in nature. Other than that, I have nothing else to report. Anybody have any questions this morning? Going once. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Hope to see you at the security meeting later on. Thank you. Has anyone had anything in the minutes they found that needs to be amended, adjusted, or changed? Seeing nothing, I'll accept they be approved as read, so long as we have a quorum. Treasurer's report.
Good morning, everyone. So if you take a look at the financials for April 2018, you'll notice that it looks a little different from first quarter. We discussed at the last delegate meeting that we were going to add a year-to-date portion. So now, if you look at the column in the middle, you'll see that there's a year-to-date actual from 1/1/2018 to April 30th, 2018. And then to the right of that, you'll see the yearly budget. The reason why we added this is so it tells you as time is going forward how much has been spent year to date compared to the budget that we have for the complete year. So that way there's no timing issues, anything like that. In the previous reports, by only seeing 1 month periods at a time, there could be a timing issue, there could be, if an invoice is received late, if something is, paid in arrears, anything that, would accumulate over time. This will solve all of that, so that way we're able to compare apples to apples and see how we're doing so far as each month goes throughout the entire year. The second thing that I wanted to bring up is for what we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 months is the CD-ARS accounts. So we were able to get the right personnel from BB&T, and what this is the ability to have FDIC insured accounts that also earn interest. Right now we have something called ICS, which are FDIC insured accounts, but it's where one bank manages accounts over $250,000 by managing the money, by keeping it spread out, so each pot of money is FDIC insured. What the CD-ARS difference is it allows you to earn interest by basically staggering CDs at different banks but managed by one bank. So that way we're not managing 15 different bank accounts, which can create confusion, which leads to human error, things like that. So right now, the plan and the report that they're preparing for us that should be ready by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week will basically show an estimate of how the next 12 months would work if everyone was in agreement to it. And it would basically be 12 CDs. Each one of them would be open each month going forward, so that way we always have availability to enough funds if we need them from the reserve account. And right now we're thinking that we'll probably keep 20% in operating, so that way there'd be a little bit more than $1 million, so we would always have the funds that we need, plus each CD would be maturing each month thereafter. If you flip to the next page, on the back side, you'll see what we're talking about when it comes to the bank accounts, how we have the general and the reserve. And right now with the reserve just sitting there and us not accessing it, earning interest would definitely be a step in the right direction. What I found after going to 15 different banks, trying to find banks that participated in these CDARS accounts, is almost no one knows what you're talking about because it's something that's so obscure that not many people have this type of issue. But we were able to get through to the right people, and so they're preparing that now. The last thing is, if any of your associations received a letter, most of them that received it where they were paying the wrong amount for the assessments have corrected it. There were still a few left. I've been reaching out to the officers of those associations by phone. So if you get a phone call from me, that's usually what I'm trying to reach. There were a few people that didn't call back yet. And so I'll go ahead and have that, and then at least be able to report that in May of what we still have left, if there are any associations left that are paying the wrong amount. Do I have any questions? Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sebastian. We do not have a quorum. We have 95 people signed in. So as such, we cannot provide for minute approval or moving forward with the business on hand. That doesn't stop us from talking about anything someone would like to speak of. And to that extent, I'm going to turn this over to the officers to see if there's anyone here who has something they'd like to add. David?
Good morning. In today's packet are the two items I talked about last month, one from the solid waste and one from Palm Beach County. It's a good source for everybody to keep. There will be more copies in the office if you'd like to step up and get any. And I was fortunate enough to see Act Two's performance. It was really a wonderful performance. I think everybody should mark that on their calendar to make sure they get in, because it was a sellout. There were not any seats that I saw available, and they did a wonderful job, and they deserve a lot of thanks, a lot of volunteer work on their part, and it was a good time. Try to stop it and see it the next time. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Anything, John?
Yeah, the only thing I have is coming up Wednesday next week is town hall meeting on hurricane preparedness, and we'd like a lot of you, all of you, as a matter of fact, to show up, ask your questions, make sure you're aware of what needs to be done, and I don't want to beat it to death, but we do it every year. But there's a lot of new people moving in that haven't experienced this. They don't know what to do, so we want everybody to be well informed. Watch your TV. Weathermen kind of beat the stories to death. Last weekend they had a little rain, and it was a subtropical storm supposedly. Just a little bit of a preface of what's to come for the year. So everybody, please be aware and please be prepared, because that being prepared makes all the difference in the world. Thank you.
Stuart?
Just a few. There you go.
It's on.
The mystery of the microphone. Electronics are very complicated. Just a few mundane things. As we ride around the village, we notice that a lot of the waste buckets are not covered with the bar. Please make sure you have it on there, because with the wind blows, it opens up and then the debris flies all over the place. And if you have a problem, if it's not there, please contact UCO and we'll try to get somebody to Waste Authority to fix it. Another is that the insurance committee has been serious. We're very concerned about the fact that we have the growth of slip and falls here in the village, and it's forcing our insurance premiums up. please notify your residents to wear regular shoes, especially in this weather when it's raining. They could slip and fall, and then everybody's insurance premiums go up. And if you just take a minute to remind them about it, then we could save some money, and I know everybody's concerned about that. And lastly, the most mundane thing of all today is National Donut Day. So if you are a donut eater, eat two. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to remind the community that we have at least 4 major construction projects going on right now in the village. Atlantic Broadband, obviously. FP&L is doing some underground work. We also still have the sewer relining project and now the potable water valve installation project. A lot of digging, damage in a lot of places. There is a material storage area on Falkirk and Lincoln Street that involves piles of broken up asphalt and fill and gravel. I just want to assure everyone that this is a temporary arrangement, and once the project is completed and moved on, it'll be cleaned up and it'll be brought back to normal. If there are any damages in the residential areas, please take pictures and send them to ucomaintenance@gmail.com. And we follow up on every one of those reports with the contractors involved and do our best to get everything restored. One more item. With the chair's permission, I'd like to move on to the new business item.
Please do.
Okay. Thank you. We were made aware from a Century Village resident of a single resident who is listing her apartment on Airbnb. Airbnb is essentially like Uber for your apartment. You can rent out your extra room or your own room to individuals. You become your own hotel owner. Obviously, this is of concern to the community and to Yuko officers who are working on a response right now. But I want to make you aware that we do know about it, and we are trying to make it stop. We don't think that this is healthy for the community. When we have more information, we'll let the community know. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Please feel free to come up to the mic.
Yeah. On Kent Street and North Drive, usually after normal rain, there is a lot of water accumulated, although they fixed up the sewer years ago, but it's still there and it stays there for a very long time.
Yeah, Mr. Gladstone, we are aware of several areas in the village that have drainage issues, and we are approaching them on a prioritized basis. Right now, the worst area that we're aware of is in front of Avis's house on North Drive and the North Drive extension in front of the laundry. We have brought in an engineer, and he's working on a proposal to solve that problem once and for all. Once we get that situation fixed, we're going to move on to other sections. And I know this sounds like we've been doing this for years, because we have. But it is something that we're aware of. Thank you.
And trust me, it's going to be an elongated contract because it continues wherever we are. There are sections and constantly in need. Does anyone have any questions on anything we've gone over so far? Does anyone have anything they want to bring up as good of the order? Please come up to the microphone. There's one up, one down.
Elaine Brown, Sussex L. Not sure if you were going to bring this up, but sad to say, our friend Connie Kurtz passed away recently. There's information on the blog and also in the Palm Beach Post. So I just want to say condolences to Ruthie and to all of us, because she was a friend to the whole village, every single one of us. And now I will make her speech that she always gives us. Remember to vote. Vote, vote. Those of you from up north, have you got your absentee ballots? That's it. Thank you, Connie, for everything you did for us.
Thank you, Elaine. That's very well put. Anyone else? I recognize the voice.
This has to do with hurricanes and your building. You might think that I was a very, very mean person. I sent out a letter to all my people here, the residents and the people that only reside in the wintertime. And I explained to them that when we have a hurricane and the power goes out, we don't have any electricity, of course, and a lot of the telephones will not work. Fortunately, I have an old well, I shouldn't say that. I have an old landline. It works whether the power is out. I can always get a dial tone and get my messages out to people, and they can always call me. The biggest problem that I have is out-of-towners and also people that leave the building to go to other areas in Florida, and the out-of-towners. They call me up on my landline. No one says to me, "How are you? Are you okay?" No. How is my apartment? Is the electricity on? Can I come home now? So I sent out a letter to all of them that my first responsibility is to the building and to see what is wrong and to get it corrected. And if there is anything wrong with your apartment, I will give you a call. So please, let me keep my one landline open. I will not answer it. I will make my own calls outside. And if there is something wrong with your apartment, I will call you, let you know, and you will have to deal with it. And as I said, you might say I'm a very, very mean person to do a thing like this. But I have to think of the building and the residents, and they come first.
Good deal.
George Franklin, Wellington K. I'd like to introduce a special guest that just arrived, our own state attorney, Mr. David Ehrenberg, Century Village's own. Dave.
Do you want to come up to the mic?
You got a couple words to say? Okay.
Thank you, George. And happy Donut Day to everyone. I'm Dave Ehrenberg. I'm honored to be your state attorney. Just a couple quick points. I wanted to let you know about some good news. You know, the #1 public safety threat to our country and our community continues to be the opioid crisis. It affects all walks of life, all ages. In Palm Beach County, though, we've actually turned the corner. We've had some innovative strategies that have attracted national attention. And I give a lot of credit to law enforcement working with our Sober Homes Task Force. Pleased to say that we've had a 62% decrease in the number of opioid deaths in Palm Beach County in the first 4 months of this year compared to the first 4 months of last year. It's huge. And in Delray Beach, which is ground zero for the opioid crisis because Delray Beach has more drug rehab centers than any other city per capita in the country and probably the world, in Delray Beach they had a 79% decrease in the number of opioid overdose deaths in the first 4 months of this year compared to last year. It's receiving national attention. We've actually traveled to Orange County, California, because they want to know what we're doing here, because they're getting this over there. And unfortunately for them, as we see these sober homes leaving our community because of our crackdown against them, a lot of them are going to Orange County and other warm weather places that don't have a sober homes task force, that don't have the political will to deal with this problem, and they're wanting to know what to do. So that's some good news, and I'll leave you with this. I know there have been some recent incidents in here in the village, and Mike Edmondson, who's here with me today. Mike, where are you? Mike, who's been with the office for 20-some odd years. Mike will be at the meeting today at 2:30, the security meeting. I'm sorry, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, sorry. The meeting starts at 1. Mike will be there at 2:30. No, I'm just kidding. Mike will be there at 1 o'clock. And I want to thank George Franklin. George came to our office personally to let us know, give us an update. And so it's great that the reason why UCO is so powerful is because of all of you. And thank you, George, and thank you for all your commitment to our community. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, honored to be your state attorney. And again, happy Donut Day. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak under the good of the order? Take your time.
I don't know if anybody else has had this problem, but in the last 2 months, excuse me, in the last 2 months I've been run off the road by our buses inside the complex here. One of them happened last night. I was coming down East Drive, and he was coming out from a side road and stopped in the middle, and I was forced to go off the road. Second time was over there by Northampton where that little curve, that big curve is. He went on